knows? But if anybody can tell me if this is actually live, please go into the chat and just go, I see you. I see you. You're there. I know. I hear your voice. I know what's happening. Because, like, I don't even know how to check this. Here, maybe if I go on to YouTube, that'd be easier than TikTok because I'm newer to TikTok than I am to YouTube. Way, way newer. I want to give you hope, but not hope based on let's just pretend some stuff. I want to give you the view of what's going on in our country from a balanced perspective. And what I mean is, we've got a lot of news, we've got a lot of stuff on YouTube, which is where I get my news because watching the actual news is just not something. I don't have a TV. And I don't want to watch the regular news because, geez, I don't trust it anyway. So let me just watch, clips of things like Rachel Maddow and Brian Tyler Green and is it Tyler Green? Anyway, and other people who are phenomenal, who are covering things and being real and being outraged because none of this stuff makes any sense. So let me see. If I go to my channel on YouTube, let's see, view channel, live. Okay, well, it says I'm live. I can't see it, but okay. But still, if anybody can see me, for the love of sweet Jesus, say something, okay? Now, if you come into my channel and I can see you and you say hi, and maybe even give me your name, I don't even care if it's a pseudonym, I will actually pull one of these lovely, lovely oracle cards for you, and that'll be fun. You'll like it. It's cool. Alrighty. So if I get nobody to say anything, which I think is kind of weird, I think TikTok is so involved. People are really, really involved in TikTok. Okay, so you're supposed to hit the cards twice, and that clears them of any previous energy, which makes sense to me. My energy was cleared previously today when some muscle car dumbass drove by me with no muffler and scared the absolute crap out of me. Went right through my nervous system. I was like, thank you so much. That's just lovely. I appreciate it. Dumbass. So yeah, that's where my anger goes, is like, could you try not to think you're the only human in the world? That would be very, very nice. I would like that. All right, so I'm going to just pull a card. And maybe this will be sort of the thing where I'm actually inviting in your energy. I'm inviting you in because that actually does work in terms of, our energy is actually what pulls us in. It's actually what happens. Our energy coming from our emotions is what allows or disallows events, possibilities, events. Did I say events? I did. Possibilities and what else? Everything. And it most particularly impacts how you feel. So here, I'm going to cut these, and this will be our card for the day. Unfolding light. That's very interesting to me. Unfolding light. Okay, so when you're dealing with oracle cards, you want to take a look and you want to go, okay, what does the picture make me think of? And what do the words make me think of? And what does it make me feel? So this is interesting to me because this woman, well, she has lipstick. So we'll say, yeah, woman. Let me see if I can get this to show correctly. So even though her eyes are closed, it sort of looks like her eyes are open and they're like lights coming out. It's kind of crazy. I like it. An unfolding light makes me think of the feminine because the unfolding part does. And the birth part, it makes me think of, the feminine is really strategically different and bigger energetically than the masculine. It is actually the carrier pigeon, if you will, the carrier for the delivery of all life, right? I mean, if you think about it just in a practical terms, the women give birth to the babies, not the men. And what that requires is an unfolding. It requires that we don't go straight from 0 to 100. We don't go from, I have a goal and boom, I've got it, I've got it, I've got it. Which is the toxic masculine approach to every freaking thing we do. Are you there yet? Are you there yet? Are you there yet? Are you successful? And I've been a victim of that and a victim of my own self doing that. This is not a victimhood thing like where other people are making me do this, but the training, the conditioning that we have is tremendously powerful. It's what we learn to practice. What's equally powerful is that I want you to understand that it's just a practice. It's just a repeated thought. It's your belief, your adherence to I've got to be a certain way. I've got to believe in this and I've got to believe in that. And oh my God, I have this terrible belief and I can't get rid of it. Your belief that you can't get rid of it means you can't get rid of it. So if it's like a catch-22, right? And some cards just fell out. What do they want to tell us? Yeah. Reflective mirrors. Heck yeah. What you do and what you feel and what you think repetitively, otherwise known as beliefs, that is what forms what is outside of you, and that is what forms your possibilities and options and everything else. Have you ever seen that thing on YouTube where they've got these people playing basketball or something, and they go, keep track of the ball, and then you don't even know that there's some guy in a big, like a 6-foot guy in a big freaking gorilla suit who's walking through it. You don't see it. You literally don't see it until afterwards. It goes, did you see the gorilla? And you're like, what freaking gorilla? What are you talking about? There's no gorilla there. And you go back and you look at it and you go, well, fuck me. There was a gorilla there. It's like, holy crap. It's amazing. It's amazing. So what we believe we're going to see, what we focus on, what we feel as our emotional set points, that is what sets the possibilities for the play. That's what sets the possibilities. So who we are, how we are energetically, how we are emotionally, what we expect, all of that stuff is what gets reflected. Okay? So we are sort of our own reflective mirrors. And so the big question always is like, well, then how the hell do I change that? If I don't like what I'm reflecting, how the hell do I change it? So that's the journey I went on for a long time. I mean, decades, because I was in massive depression and anxiety for like a good almost 4 decades. Clinical depression. I had always had big dreams, big hopes, big places I wanted to go, things I wanted to be, things I wanted to do. And I did some of them, but I never got anywhere near where I wanted to be. I could not break out of this intense emotional limitation. And I didn't think I had any power to do so. This is the point I want to make. And whoever's watching, God bless you, because I wasn't sure this was live. So if you can put something in the chat that goes, I actually do see you, you are real. I would appreciate that. Plus also it had let me know the chat's working, because this restream's been giving me a swift pain in the neck because it just decided to. It's Mercury retrograde. What the hell are you going to do? So the question is like, how can you actually, change your life? Because we hear lots of stuff like you can manifest stuff. I don't know about you, but I tried a lot of different manifestational techniques and none of them worked for me. Frustrating. I'm like, I'm a great student and I'm a great learner of new things. I have a very expansive, open mind, and nothing worked for me. I was like really pissed. I'm like, where's the money, right? Where's the relationship? Where's all the things that I want? And then what happened in 2022 was that I I was going through my third nervous breakdown of my life. And remember, that was over, 38 years or something. And I'd been into spirituality since I was, you know, 28, 29. Um, and so, of course, I didn't know what the hell it really was. I mean, when you get into spirituality, this is a lifelong or maybe lives long sort of pursuit of like deepening into yourself. And at first, it's just not that. It's a lot of more sparkly kind of stuff. And it's like with anything, you don't have a real deep understanding when you first start something. You're not supposed to. It's supposed to be a journey. It's supposed to go like step one, and then maybe you go to step three, and then maybe you come back to step two. You explore. You're a student. You're unfolding. You're unfolding. Yeah. And in 2022, I had the worst job I've ever had. I was trying to be what is absolutely not mine to be. Okay. I was trying to be a financial representative. What? I'm an actor. I'm a public speaker. I'm a teacher. I do workshops. I lead workshops. I am a writer. I'm an artist. Like, what were you doing? Well, I was sick of being poor. So I was like, this will do it. I can bring all of my educational stuff to this. Listen, if you are not a financial person naturally, just please heed my advice. The tests for that to get, it's horrific. It's horrible. Anyway, after 3 months, they decided that this was their policy for everybody. So after 3 months, if you haven't made X amount of dollars by selling stuff, then they reduce your income by like half. And they were only paying $15 an hour to begin with. And I'm sorry, what? So I went into this like total emotional nosedive. Depression. And finally, like the middle of July, I was done with that job. I stayed as long as I could just because I needed some money. I didn't want to have no money. And I was too stubborn, and I was not yet in alignment with understanding some things that would have allowed me to step out of that and just trust that I was going to bring in something better. So I just wasn't there yet. So I stayed as long as I could, but it was really self-abuse, honestly. And middle of the night, I'm like going down for the count. It's 2:30 in the morning. It's July. I'm losing my mind. I'm going, all right, I've already been to the ER a couple times, and they've adjusted whatever medications need to be adjusted, and I'm still sinking. And I'd already been through the therapy many times, and the group therapy, and I recommend that, all of it, wholeheartedly. Make sure you have a good one. Make sure you have a good one. And, if you don't know what that is, I'll be glad to discuss that one with you. But you just don't want somebody who's going to like try to take control of you or tell you what's right and what's wrong. You want someone who's going to usher you into yourself and help you develop real confidence in you, not be a confident person. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like you have to go out and become a massive public speaker like I like to do, but to start to get into touch with, like, there's somebody here, and I might kind of get to find a way to like her or him. I mean, this is not a small thing. This is, in our culture, we are so far from ourselves. It's a real big deal. So, I've been following all this spiritual stuff. I've been watching Abraham Hicks for on and off, on and off. Some years not watching it all for like 30 years, and I there's just all kinds of spiritual things I've been doing. And so I had Abraham playing on YouTube because I was like, something's got to keep me from putting myself from harming myself, frankly. And so I'm listening to it, and I am feeling myself go down. And I said to myself, I got nothing. Now, I'm a perseverer. I will find a freaking way to do I don't believe in limitation. I don't believe in no until I've tried every last freaking door. And I will look for every freaking door. So I won't give up until I've tried every freaking door. I don't care how remote the possibility is. I'm blessed with that. So came in with that. So I'm sitting there and I'm realizing I got nothing left. And I hear myself say, I got nothing. And I meant nothing. there was nothing but nothingness within me. I was just like, I don't have any more ideas. I don't have any more hope. I don't have any more anything. And this idea came to me, and it was to try something that Abraham does, which is they do these rampages, but they're positive things, like rampages of appreciation, rampages of self-worth, rampages of forgiveness, rampages of abundance, things like that. But they never teach how to do it. They just do it for people, right? They just do it, and then at least I've never seen them like teach it. And I said, I don't know how to do it, but I've looked at it for a while and I've wondered about how it works. And I've noticed a few things. So I'll just try. So I took out a journal, I start writing, and I'm like, everything that they were saying on that video that had anything to do with shifting the emotions, which pretty much everything they say is about that. I'm writing. I'm trying to shift. What I'm trying to do, actually, what I was trying to do was feel it. Was feel something different than dark, black, inky hopelessness. And I'll be a son of a bitch if after 10 minutes I didn't I realized that I had made a shift. Now, I hadn't come out of depression. I'm not talking about like, you know, turning on a light switch, but in its own way, it was a light switch because I didn't know that I had the power. I had the power outside of medications and outside of being in a group, I had the power to shift my emotional state, my state of being. It blew my mind, but I didn't have time to focus on that. I had to keep going. And for the next 5 days, if I was awake, and I was usually awake because when you're that depressed, you're either sleeping all the time or you're awake, and I was awake. For the next 5 days, I just wrote and wrote and wrote. And every time I got stuck, which was a few times, because, the mind has to be unkinged like a hose to be able to understand how this stuff could possibly work. And so when I would get stuck, it was because I was so focused, because this was so urgent a need. All of these things were happening simultaneously. So my mind would say, well, but what difference does it make if I feel better? I'm going to feel worse again in a minute. And then I would hear something immediately. There wasn't even a second's delay. I would hear something that Abraham was saying, like the reason that feeling a little better works is because a positive emotion, not a, hi, I'm happy and everything's great, but just a slightly better feeling thought is what they call it. Just a slightly better feeling thought will have incredible impact, because lighter feeling thoughts, better feeling thoughts, are 10,000 times stronger, excuse me, than the negative. And when you bring in a slightly better feeling thought, you have just reset permanently your emotional set point. So as I went through that night, and as I went through the next 5 days, every time I would hit a point where my mind would go, yeah, but this isn't going to work because, or I don't understand, how could that be true? Immediately, I would hear the answer, and I'd write it. I'd be like, okay, so Abraham just said, la, 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 and that makes total sense. And so I started putting together all of the different aspects of this. And remember, that was back in the summer of 2022. And, and because it was about teeny tiny little steps, it wasn't about going from I'm massively depressed to I'm so happy I could spit. That doesn't work. It was going from, oh my God, I'm so depressed, to, and I acknowledge that the fact that I try and am trying so hard, I can actually sense a little bit of something different than depression as I say that. Like it's a tiny thing to say I'm kind of impressed, and I can feel, it's like a feedback loop you have to get into. So it's like, I'm impressed that I can feel this thing that's different. Holy crap. And then, Okay, cats, don't sit on my computer. Um, then I heard Abraham say something like, and also you want to really massage that better feeling thought, or you want to, you want to focus on better that better feeling, that sensing. Because I'm extremely emotionally based, but also um, I've sensed things, like when I really feel the darker parts start to shift, I feel like oxygen in me. It feels like space, like it's an energy. And so I sense that it's not really like an emotion, but it sure brings an emotion of like, I'm like, oh, wow, thank you. Relief. This is good. So I decided to call this combination psychology, like attitude, psychology, and practice, the 1% solution. Because, when it comes to things like affirmations, where we go, okay, so I'm broke and living under a bridge, but I have $1 million. I have $1 million. No, you don't. You're living under a fucking bridge, okay? You don't have $1 million. And so we have to actually shift. We can't change per se, but shifting we can do. Shifting will make it happen. And it's super, super important. There's actually nothing more important if we want to become masters of this shift that humanity and that we personally are in as one, which is from the old paradigm, which says, hey, white men are in charge and women and people of color don't have any importance, and you're only supposed to be hetero and you're not supposed to have your own path, and you have to follow all the rules and all of the traditional sorts of ideas. And we're going from that into more of a community energy. We've been sort of hopping, skipping, and jumping towards it over the last 5-10 years. Um, and the traditional sort of way of being is not happy with that. Like even inside ourselves, we're not so happy with that because it challenges us. I mean, we've been enculturated and programmed to survive and try to thrive within this system we're in. But the system is a toxic, dysfunctional system. And so there is a quote that is ascribed to Krishnamurti, which is, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a sick society. I love that. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a sick society. So my entire life, it turns out, has been about how can I live my authentic self in the face of this world that I have to somehow fit into that I don't fit. Now I look like I fit, right? Like I'm an older white woman, and I know, I mean, I don't have purple hair, which would be fun, by the way, but I'm kind of liking my silver hair. I'm kind of liking that. So anyway, but I never fit because I'm always questioning everything, everything. And I'm always thinking about how do I be even more authentically me, which is part of why I freaking adore acting. So if you think acting is about pretending, it's not. It's about, the only thing is pretend, it's the circumstances. What you bring to it is your real emotion. And it's so freeing. It's like free fall. When you do it right, when you get these moments of amazing breakthrough, it's like free fall and it feels fabulous. It's just so great. Because, being on the stage, or in front of a camera, like it's the one place where people want you to not subscribe to anything other than being your fabulousness. So, I said 2 cards fell out of this, what do you call it? This Oracle deck. Love this deck. I'm going to have to get some lighting set up next to me that's going to help me with this. Anyway, it's called the Ascension Oracle, and I found it at like I don't know, it was half price books for like $7. Yeah, baby. So what we do, here's the first of those cards that fell out, right? Reflective mirrors. What we do is reflected outside of ourselves. That's how it works. And that's big in itself to even understand that one and not have these ideas of like, well, wait a second. So am I responsible for the crap in this world? No. Collectively, our energy creates situations. Like it's sort of like creating a cake out of a bunch of flavors. Let's say you have like 5 chefs, and each one's going to put in their own flavoring, and it's going to come out as a 5 flavored cake. So is it your fault? No. But if you think of it in terms of emotion and how you can add better feeling thoughts into this mix, and with the lighter feelings, just by 1%, being 10,000 times stronger than anything that is dark, because darkness in its essence is weak. Doesn't feel like it, I know. I know. I know. And the more we fight the dark, by the way, the stronger it gets. So this is like a real, we got to change our ways of seeing things. And that's also not a small thing to do, but it is doable. And if I can do it at my age, just 2.5 years ago, trust me, you can do it. Because it's not about age at all. And what I had to come to was understanding that there is something, and this card is reminding me of is presence. There is something present that has nothing to do with this skin stuff. It doesn't have anything to do with our physicality at all. It is, that's slightly incorrect. It reflects, we get to experience it through our physicality, which is what it's for, actually. Because we get to have it reflected and experienced through our emotions, our senses, because we are focused in this body. We are more than this body, though. This stuff goes so deep, and this is like where I love to play. I love the deep waters of the energetic, and that's what I'm talking about, is the energetic. Everything in this entire universe is made of energy. Everything. You, me, the shades I'm looking at, the cats next to, that, like everything. In fact, take a look around you and look at the space that you think is empty. It's not empty. It's not, the space that you think is empty is not empty. It is energy. Everything chock full of energy. And that's why when I change my emotional set point, when I shift it deliberately, intentionally by 1%, that 1% is so freaking big. It's so freaking big that's why I was able to heal myself of clinical depression, of 38 plus years of clinical depression. I was able to do that in 5 freaking days. Let's see, 38 years, 5 days. Which do you choose, right? Crazy shit. This is crazy. I love it. I love it. And so over the last 2.5 years, I've been working with a therapist who is all about the nervous system, the parasympathetic, and excuse me, how we tend to resonate off of each other, and how important it is to bring ourselves up from the bottom of the nervous system, which is where depression and helplessness and hopelessness live. Bring ourselves up at least to midpoint, which is called the, is that just the sympathetic? It might be just the sympathetic, which is where fight or flight is. Now you may go, well, that's not good enough. I want to be higher than that. Yeah, no kidding. And you can. But here's the deal. If you're stuck, as I was, in hopelessness and helplessness for a great deal of time, that becomes your identity in your mind. That becomes your identity. You say, well, I'm just a depressed person. No, you're not. No, you are not. No, you are not. That is not your identity. That is your habit. Hard to understand, but it's true. That is your habitual thinking. We are victimized by our own belief that we can't redirect, we can't shift our thinking, that we have no mastery over it. And I'm not talking about brute force. I'm talking about its opposite. I'm talking about its opposite. This is more about taking your time. This is about compassion. This is about allowing and unfolding. Um, this is such a qualitative difference from the way that we've been taught to think and behave and expect, that it requires real practice of different kinds. So I know something that really got me on the path of realizing that I could be more than I thought I was acting. So I became a professional actor. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I especially love being on stage. It's why I'm a public speaker. I love being on stage. This is the one place where I can act the fool and nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares. Everybody loves it because they're like, oh my God, she just completely screwed up and she's laughing. Maybe it's okay for me to screw up. Isn't that awesome? I love that. Freaking love that. So how does this help us is really quality of life. We're living through a time right now that really is an evolutionary as well as revolutionary time. I just spent 2 hours standing outside with a bunch of really awesome people demonstrating in front of a Tesla place they're building. Really? With Tesla stock falling and Jesus, all this crazy stuff, man. So, oh, I was going to tell you about the nervous system. Okay, so sorry about that. I got off track. So the bottom of the nervous system is called, oh God, Laura, you forgot it again? Yeah, okay. Starts with a V, I think. Anyway, you have to come up to your fight or flight place if you want to access what I think is called the dorsal, which is where you can access joy and hope and bliss and things like that, excitement. And so you can't access this big part from like all the way down here. You have to come up at least to fight or flight. And I understand that from this perspective. If I'm angry, I'm experiencing a lot quicker, more motivational energy than if I'm down here in my ventral. Wait, I forget which one is ventral and which one's dorsal. But if I'm down here in hopelessness and helplessness, my energy is sluggish, right? My energy is like, okay, life really sucks. If I get angry or I move up, there's a whole emotional ladder. But if I move up a number of steps to anger, then I can go, God damn it, I'm going to do something different about this. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try that. It gets you into motion. And that's fantastic. My God, you could actually stand up for your own betterment. That's not easy. You know, you see movies where people make this like magic transformation in a 5-minute montage. You know, that's not truth. But you also don't know that because I don't know about you, but I know traditionally in my past, I'm like measuring myself against that transformation, going, I'm just too stupid to get there. I'm just not good enough to get. Those are habits of thought, and you literally can shift them. I think this is the internal revolution. And that's why I talk about it, because the internal revolution is a whole lot more peaceful and stronger than the physical one. Doesn't mean I don't think we should take to the streets any day now, because the stuff that's going on in Washington and to our lives is complete bullshit. And it would be nice if we could do this vibrationally instead of having to have any violence or anything. But the more they go and take stuff from us, the more they are courting the violent approach. Another card flipped out. Of course, it went to the floor. Hold on a second. Okay, what do you want to tell us? Oh yeah, this is what the energetic is about. It's about love unbound for sure. Because when we are deliberately and intentionally reorienting our emotional set point, we're unleashing a light within us that is proportionately humongous in relationship to where we may have been holding ourselves for a long, long time. Does that make sense? By the way, if you want to chat with me, feel free. I'm not sure. It's supposed to show it in the restream thing, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. What can I tell you? Um, I'll figure it all out at some point. So um, there are two ways to be in the revolution at this point, and one of them is physical. It's a really good one. Um, it's awesome to show up and be counted. It is awesome also on a personal front because when you can get out of the mindset of I'm just one person, I can't make that big a difference, and you dare yourself, as I dared myself today, to go out there and go to an event that I thought there won't be anybody here. I'll be the only person. Not true. Not true. There were like 100 people there. It was awesome. And people are honking and, yes. And, it was awesome. It was great. Just a couple of people gave us the finger, but we just smiled and waved. Because, at the end of all this crap, which is coming pretty quickly, it's not going to take anywhere near 4 years. Trust me, it's really not. And I'll even pull a card on that. Oh, this is a challenge for Lori. Yeah, I've got my tarot cards and stuff, and I've never really read on politics and things like that because I only know a certain amount about tarot. I know more than I used to. That's for sure. Yeah. First, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Is they're gonna have to impoverish us some more. That's what they're going to have to do for people to wake up. That's what has to happen. But the question I have for the cards is, what's the outcome? I can't ask how long is it going to take because I don't know. I don't know that the people I watch on YouTube are really good at this. Who are really good at matching politics with the cards and everything. They just have a lot of experience. They don't even like to do time frames, but they are saying that April, the month we are entering, is going to be a lot of secrets coming out. And that's what needs to happen. And it's happening very quickly, which is an awesome thing. It's an awesome, awesome thing. What card do you want me to look at? What? Okay. Okay. So we are going to get back to something like normal, but we are also going to be under the rule of these people who are crazy. And at some point, we are going to be given rest. And by the way, this is a 4 of Swords. Does that mean April is going to be a really good month for us? I think so. I really do. I think that April is going to give us lots of information. That's what swords are about, right? It's information. And as a result of that, I think we're going to have even more people waking up. We're going to be starting a deeper newness of emotional awakening, is what I think is going to happen. Now, who am I? One person. But we're going to have to choose. We're going to have to make a choice about how we want to live our lives. And that's going to be a big deal because for some people, they don't see how important it is for us to live together in harmony and acceptance and confusion and work together to understand each other. Some people just don't get that because they're just afraid and ignorant of what's real. And I understand that fear. I get that. But we're going to have to make a choice. Do you want to be freaking broke and broken? These 2 cards just fell out. Do you want to be broke and broken? Or do you want to try to figure out how to come together? And it's so interesting. I've heard so many stories throughout my life. Not often, but I've heard enough of them, and they always make a real impression on me. Of people from opposite sides of an ideology coming together, fearful but willing to try, and becoming the best of friends, because they find that the things that stopped them from being friends aren't real. So there's this wonderful couple of guys. This is a good maybe 15 years ago, maybe longer, I don't know, but a Palestinian kid and an Israeli kid. And through friends, I don't know what occasioned this, but they were invited to meet and to try to understand each other. And for their individual reasons, again, I'm sorry, I don't know what those were, but they did come together and they were both scared to death, of course. Um, but they did. And what happened was they became like brothers, and they started going around the world giving talks about the need for brotherhood and the need to listen and to hear and to express and to understand. And that's the choice that we're going to be given. And it's only going to come, I'm sad to say, but again, it makes sense. I think it's only going to come when the only other choice is, would you like to be dead? I mean, people, we are so accustomed to looking for our comfort spots, our places where we can just sort of go back and numb out. I'm not exempting myself. I mean, I see it in myself all the time. I'm just becoming a little better lately at saying, okay, enough of the numbing out now. Now I have to get back to being present, because a little bit of numbing goes a long way, and it doesn't really help all that much. So I'm going to go do this thing that makes me passionate and this thing that makes me passionate. And I don't mean that I sit there going, I'm so happy, but stuff that makes me go, okay, this, I like this. Like, this is good. Really important. Oh, I've got my Ganesha with me. I love Ganesha. Ganesha, the god, the Hindu god. He's so awesome. Mwah! I love my Ganesha. He's the god of obstacles. He's the god of householders. Householders meaning people who don't run off to the Himalayas to become, meditators for 23 out of every 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like, he's the guy who you go, hey, Ganesha, I'm going to be going on a trip with my family. I'd really rather not die on the way there. Can you help me out, bud? Ganesha really is. He's just the coolest. He's the coolest god. And all that I mean by God in that sense is these are the highest energies of which we are created. Yes, these are the highest energies of which we are created. So cool. We have two ways of revolting against the old paradigm and inviting in and building, birthing, designing, inviting, allowing the new paradigm in which we're not afraid of each other. Or if we are, we have enough trust that we have come together and built that we can say to that person or that situation we don't understand, I don't get it. This is making me afraid. Help me understand so I don't have to be afraid. And then the other person can say what they have to say. And you can have an actual conversation instead of this breakdown of like, you suck. No, you suck. No, you suck. There no longer in our country is, what do you call it? There's no longer two parties. There's now democracy and fascism. That's not two parties. That's two completely different ideologies. That's not two parties. We no longer have a two-party system. What is happening with the fascists is they're calling themselves conservatives, and that is a lie. 100% lie. 100%. So how do you deal with all this? You get your body out and you do things, you make phone calls, you show up at town hall meetings and you do your thing, you make your voice heard, you go, give me a freaking answer. Then the other part is the internal revolution, where you find ways to find your answers. You start to invite yourself to understand on deeper and deeper levels, and you start on any level. It doesn't matter. There's nobody judging except you, and you don't have to. You can learn not to judge yourself so harshly. I know, because I had like a PhD and beat the crap out of yourself. I swear to God. But really start to allow yourself to to be kinder, to be gentler with yourself, to say, what will allow me to find my answers and not believe that the only answers that are possible are out there with somebody else, that somebody else must know better than me. I'm not saying that we don't want to hear what others have to say and take inspiration, but we always want to bring it home. We always want to bring it back and workshop it, play with it, draw it, sing it, speak it, think about it, meditate it, vision it. Learn to have some more fun with it and more fascination and wonder about it. Instead of, well, what's the answer? Why won't anybody tell me the answer? Maybe because you have to find it. Oh my God, I remember the first time that ever happened to me. It was during my first nervous breakdown. And I'd been like literally mostly lying on the floor for like 4 days. I was so depressed. And I'm not kidding, I was lying on the floor. And I was praying and praying and praying. And I was praying for help from the divine. And the fourth day I went, shit, nobody's coming. Nobody's coming to rescue me. And I just remember so clearly that I like rolled onto my side so reluctantly and with such resentment. I rolled onto my side and I put my hands on the floor to push myself up into a seated position. I was like, you fucking God, you know? It was like, really, are you kidding? And that was the first time in my adult life, and I was in my, let me say maybe I was 27, something like that. The first time that I was like realizing I'm going to have to do this myself. And I was not amused. I was not pleased about it. But I've gone through so many things now where I've had to walk into situations that feel impossible to get out of. And I believe that I set that up. I believe that this is what my soul came to experience in this human body. But the shift is happening now. And I don't think that I have to do that kind of learning anymore. I think now, and I got such a big like hit of this just yesterday, of this clarity of all, like freedom from all of the stuff that's in the head and the system and everything. And oh my God, it was like I can have and be and do anything, which I know, but I'm leaning into like knowing it. You know what I mean? Amazing, amazing. I said, oh, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. I get it. I'm going into the new paradigm. So my interest is in helping people begin or continue that journey from I'm not in charge of my life. God, spirit, the expert at the university, whoever, my parents, they're the experts. You are actually the expert. You are the mad scientist in your own laboratory. All of it. Mind and emotion and sense and physicality and spirituality and energy. You are it. Now, you're not alone in it. Don't think that way. Like I said, you can take inspiration from all kinds of people. And as far as people who will give you some lighter energy, not Pollyanna energy, not let's pretend this crap isn't happening energy, but real spirit infused stuff are people over on YouTube. Linda G, the Comanche psychic, I love her. There's another one called Illuminated Tarot. There's also Meister Tarot, which is from, I believe, Australia. She's lovely. Meister is spelled Maightstir, which is apparently the name of a teacher of hers. So these are people that like that see that are more psychically attuned, who do tarot, and talk about one of them doesn't, but the rest of them do, about the situations that are happening, the people who are in these situations, Muskrat and Felon 45 and Putt Putt over in the Big R. And the beautiful thing that they do for me is give me the energy side of what's happening. So I understand. And it keeps me calm. It keeps me moving from the sympathetic into the really calm, moving into the calmness and the happiness and everything. Is that they go, there's another aspect here. It's not just all the facts. It's not all just the physical. It's not, we're doomed and we're going down the tubes and we're going to die. Like, it's not, there are facts, but here's why it's happening. It's happening because we are moving into such a shift. We're heading into a reality shift, an evolutionary, we're not heading, we're in it. We are in a human evolutionary time. We are evolving. What the hell does that mean? Good question. Really good question. Exceptional question. So it just depends how far out you want to go with this stuff. And you might want to listen to Abraham again. You might want to listen to Bashar. If you've never heard of Bashar, I hadn't till last year. And he's been doing his thing for 40 years. Bashar is the name that an entity that is channeled through a guy named Daryl Anka. Anyway, he's been around doing his thing for a long time. And some of his stuff I love, and other stuff is a little too far out for me yet. Like, it's a little too much for me to digest. So I just kind of go, maybe in a few months, I'll be ready for that. Oops, this is about to fall. Don't fall. Please don't fall. I would really hate it if you fell. So you might listen to Bashar. Oh my God, I'm going to have to take here, we'll just take it down for now. But those people will definitely keep you from the despair that's easy to fall into right now. And I would like to invite you to follow me on TikTok, on YouTube. If you would subscribe, it's free, and it helps the channel, which helps me, which makes me grateful and happy. And so it's called Empowered Consciousness over on YouTube, and it's Goodbye Good Girl Project on TikTok. And I work with women leaders who are ready to make a massive shift in how they perceive themselves and they perceive the world and their abilities within it. So if that's something you need, get in touch. I'm at goodbyegoodgirlproject@gmail.com. That's not goodbye girl. Don't do it. Everybody does it. Goodbye, good girl. Say goodbye to the good, obedient girl. Goodbyegoodgirlproject@gmail.com. And ask me any questions that you want to about the work that I do, or if you want me to come give a talk. Let's talk about that. But my knowing is that you are so much more powerful than you know. I'm so much more powerful than I know. But I've proven a great thing to myself. So I want you to have that same great thing so that together we can be out there and creating the change that we need and making the life that we want to be living in the kind of earth community that we want to be in. So I wish you an incredibly beautiful Saturday. And I'm going to go work on a course, on the redoing of a course that teaches some of this stuff. It's a free course. If you're interested in that, drop me a line. But I want to redo it because it's in the last 2.5 years, it's really deepened. So have a great day. Mwah, mwah. Love and moxie to you. And my website is goodbyegoodgirl.com. Love you, mean it. Take no wooden nickels.